Hello, Craig.
It's all on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's all on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's all on you, it's all on me.
Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care.
Hello, Jeff.
We don't care.
What's up, dude?
Take two. I'm
Yes,
good.
it's our second
Wednesday
shot at it.
before-
Our second shot.
Yep, Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Y'all
Yeah.
probably listen to it throughout the weekend. We're
Yeah.
going to try to do a quick one. We got our houses to clean, people coming
Yeah.
over, all that stuff.
Plus, it'll be quick by our
But,
standards, which means like
this
maybe
is-
like in an hour. So
Yeah. This is a podcast versus everyone, episode 230, you said, right?
I believe that's correct.
I am Craig Powers. With me, as usual, is Jeff Nusser. And Jeff, we skipped last week, but football has not been nearly as fun for the last couple weeks. And the way in which the football team has lost has made it so much worse. And yeah, so we'll talk about it anyway. They're still 8-3,
that's what we do.
which is cool. Yeah, but Jeff, what happened to this defense? Like, it obviously the opening game of the year against Portland State was bad, but like then they looked pretty solid for a few weeks, and the last few weeks it's just looked bad, especially on the road. And
Yeah.
the culmination was against a pretty bad Oregon State offense that had scored 20 points in its previous 3 games combined, got shut out by an awful Air Force team the week before, and just giving up 41 points to them in 10 possessions. It was a very, very low possession game, 41 points, and that was with one of them going the other way for a touchdown.
yeah.
So on all the non-turnover possessions, which would have been 8, they gave up almost 5 points of possession, or over 5 points of possession when they didn't turn them over. And you've talked about early in the season a lot how it's dangerous to rely on turnovers, and that is coming to a head the last couple weeks.
Yeah, and I think so obviously early in the year the thought was this is a bend but don't break defense, right? Like that they would give up yards, they would make sure that they were not giving up big explosive plays, but they would give up some yards, keep things in front, wait for the other team to make a mistake. And it worked out pretty well for quite a while. But I think 2 things have changed. You know, the one really obvious one is they're not generating turnovers at the same rate as they were before. But on Saturday, they got, a couple of turnovers. Like there were turnovers, but the difference is that they're really not getting negative plays very often anymore. Not
Yes.
Turnovers are obviously the ultimate negative play, but we look back early in the year and we were talking about this right after the game, which, by the way, full disclosure, I still have not watched the game and I don't plan to. So just so everybody knows that. I was off in Seattle doing family stuff all day. It was fantastic, by the way. We went on a Argosy cruise out on the Sound. We went and saw Wicked at the Paramount. Like I was doing so much fun stuff and following the game on my phone, but and I watched like the end of the game. I watched like the last 3 minutes, and I'm like, "Yep, I'm good." But you mentioned like this is sort of like regression for the narrow escapes that we had earlier in the year, right? San Jose State, San Diego State, and in those games, it wasn't even just the turnovers, and the turnovers were huge. But and Washington, you can even put Washington in this category as well. Like there were big negative plays that that took the other team and put them, out of field goal position or into 3rd and long or something like that, where they just made it very, very difficult to sustain drives, right? So you do the bend but don't break. You're counting on them not being able to make, play after play after play at 4 to 6 yards over and over and over, right? But somewhere in there, for it to work, you've got to get a sack or something to set them back and put them behind the chains, and then, like the whole thing kind of works at that point. It's been a while since they've really done that with any kind of regularity. They're not getting sacks. They're not really getting a whole lot of pressure on quarterbacks. And then the other thing is, honestly, if you think back to Washington and San Jose State and San Diego State in particular, those teams committed penalties that killed themselves. We haven't been getting that benefit either, So when you put it together, the turnovers, the other team not hurting themselves, and then us not getting forced negative plays like sacks or whatever. You put all that together, and that's I think that's how you sort of explain what's gone on with the defense. It has never been good, but it looked passable for a long time because of those things. And when those things stop, it's really bad. It's really, really bad.
And I think there's reason to believe that they are getting outcoached a little bit too.
Oh yeah.
Oregon State seemed to just spam like 5 plays. Like they ran this boot to the tight end. They ran just the one thing that WSU could stop decently was this plain handoff to the running back, off tackle, whatever. But if they were running these end arounds with running backs and receivers a lot, those were killing us. Obviously, they killed us against New Mexico as well. A lot of play action boot. Like it was just, and then a mesh. They killed us with our own game. Just huge amounts of mesh, which for mesh to really work, you got to be protected. That takes very long to develop. Like if it's allowed to develop, there's always a guy open in mesh. And that's an issue when you have this team that just is not putting pressure on the quarterback. Sure, run mesh, and it would seem like, and then eventually the corners would get picked off, or they just couldn't chase anymore. And repeatedly Oregon State was able to get in the 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts, and go for it. They go for it as much as anyone does, which is smart, honestly, given how they play. But it was so weird. It was almost like we were resigned to giving up those 1 yard downs, because, and you wouldn't have seen this, Jeff, because you didn't watch the game, but there was many people that were like baffled at how we were lined up. There was no one lined up on the A gaps, which is the gap to either side of the center. No one lined up over the center. There was, the linebackers were set farther back than you would expect, like 5 yards plus back, on a 4th down and 1 or a 3rd down and 1, where it's pretty obvious the other team's going to run the ball. It seemed like they're like, okay, we're going to give up this 4th down, but we'll go through another set of downs, and we'll hope for that penalty, we'll hope for that sack, we'll hope for that interception. And they just were afraid of getting, play action burn down the field or whatever. And so that was the strangest thing to me. It's so rare to see a team that like seems to be very obviously giving up a 1st down for the sake of just getting to the next set of downs. Like, yes. And I don't know. Maybe that is not what people typically would try to do. Maybe Shredding is just like, I don't know. Like, this is like there. You could say this is a combo of the X's and O's and the Jimmy and the Joes for sure. Our rush ends generate nothing. Like they especially compared to what we were used to last year. The tackles are fine because they're just holding up. They're doing okay, but the linebackers are okay. But just not being able to generate rain pressure from rush ends. And it seems WSU refuses to blitz a lot, to avoid giving up big plays. But at some point, it's like when you're bending and bending and bending and then eventually breaking, you have these long drives, and the players are just getting exhausted by the end of the game, and they have nothing left. Because the way our offense goes, we do have some long drives, but we have some 3 and outs, and we have some really quick strike, big play drives. So we're always like, time possession is overrated, but it's not when it's legitimately the other team grinding it down the field on you every time. Like Oregon State, half of the fourth quarter was Oregon State's game-tying drive after they threw the pick six, after Gobertson threw the pick six, to give WSU the lead. Oregon State went on an 8.5-minute drive, and it was full of like third down conversions, fourth down conversions, and they couldn't get off the field. So by the time WSU then turns it over on what we thought was going to be a game-winning drive, and would have been if Kyle Williams hadn't fumbled the ball. Really unfortunate. Guy's having a great game, having a great season to that to happen, but he did. He fumbled the ball, trying to make a play. But I mean, we all were like, okay, it's game over. And in fairness, the defense, they gave up like 11 yards in 7 plays or whatever on the ensuing possession, Oregon State. But then you have Oregon State's kicker hit a 55-yarder, which is a bummer. Like, could you just miss the damn field goal?
Yeah, I know. To bury a 55-yarder, like, thanks, buddy.
Real gutsy play by Oregon State, 4th and 6 midfield, to go for it, knowing if they don't get it, they're giving up the ball. But, I mean, nothing to lose for them. They needed to win to keep a chance at bowl eligibility, although they're playing at Boise State. Good luck. But yeah, it was I felt like they had to go. I don't think they would have fared as well in overtime as we would have.
No. Well, I think that was a difference from what I noticed. Now, I did follow the game, play-by-play, scoreboard type stuff. And I think that was, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seemed like a bit of a difference between the way that Trent Bray managed the game for Oregon State and the way that Jake Dickert managed the game for WSU, where, like, there was a time earlier in the game when WSU was in plus field position, decided to punt it. Yeah. I think that was the end of the first half, 7. Right? Yeah, decided to punt it.
Yeah, I think so.
And pinned them inside the 10, I think, and then, however many minutes later, Oregon State was back in the end zone, right? Like, sometimes it's hard for coaches to recognize or cope with the reality of their situation with their team. And Jake Dickert long ago should have recognized that this defense can't stop anybody, and every decision that he makes going forward should be in service of the fact that the defense can't stop anyone. And instead, you've got these situations where, you punt the ball to him thinking, oh, well, we'll back him up. And then, of course, they're just back in the end zone again. And then you've got, like you said, Oregon State, Trent Bray does sort of the opposite. He's like, we're going to go for this because I'm not sure I like our chances in overtime, our offense against their offense type situation. And, I think that would, and you also take control of your own, for lack of a better term, destiny, right? Like, you are in control.
Right.
And this is why I'll never understand all the folks who, bitch and whine about teams going for it on 4th down or whatever. It's like, man, like, I don't know, man, the ball's in your hand. Like, go make a play and go do the thing. And Oregon State obviously did that. And then, paying us back for, what was it, San Jose State, right? Where Dean hits the big long field goal, and this time it's us on the ass end of the big long field goal, and just to kind of hit on turnovers one more time, like, there are two fumbles there in the last 2 minutes, right? One by us, one by them. Both of them get recovered by Oregon State. Either one of those go the other direction, we probably win the game, right? So, they both bounced in the wrong way to the wrong team, and, you go 0 for 2 on those fumbles on the ground, and you end up losing the game. So, again, just the danger of playing a game where it's close again, close. And, they had a chance to kind of put some separation, and every time they had a chance to put some separation, they didn't, and you end up losing another close one, which I don't know, man. Like, how are you feeling now about having lost both of these games? I mean, obviously we were flying high thinking, okay, maybe we got a chance to sneak our way into the CFP at some point. And, if we'd won those 2 games, I think we'd probably be kind of right on the doorstep of the CFP right now. Instead, now we've lost, 2 games to 2 teams. I think we can agree just on the whole less talented than us. I mean, you kind of mentioned coaching and all that stuff, but also the other thing is in the grand scheme, like if we're talking like 1,000-foot view, right? Like these losses don't really change a whole lot, provided you beat Wyoming. Now, like all bets are off if you lose to Wyoming this weekend, but provided you beat Wyoming, you're going to finish 9-3. You're going to be in one of the top 3 Pac-12 bowls, which is where you probably were going to be anyway. So it's this really weird dynamic for me where it's like, I feel like I ought to be devastated, and I was pretty pissed on Saturday, but also I'm kind of like, it doesn't change much materially. I don't know. Like I'm kind of dealing with these conflicting feelings.
Yeah. I think what changed it was New Mexico, because that drops you out of any conversation
right.
for the college football playoff. Yeah, if they would have won these last 2 games, if they're swing 4 points the other way, they're probably 13th, 12th, around there. Like the way things have really been shaken up, and they're in the like constant annoying debate, and we're all like going to be hooked on watching those stupid debate shows just because they're going to be talking about Wazoo constantly, but it didn't happen. This team was playing with fire all year against teams they should have beat, and they got burned. These fuck around, find out. They found out the last 2 weeks. The defense against New Mexico, at least you could be like, well, that's a pretty talented offense.
Yeah,
like they've been putting up points on people, but the defense, like just the infuriating one is Oregon State. Just to give that up, the way Oregon State had been playing offensively all year, just that's ridiculous. Like again, Gulbranson, who's barely ever been able to make the field for 4 years, and honestly didn't play that well. Like we were just making it too easy for him. He didn't even miss a pass until the second half. Like that was frustrating. But yeah, now moving forward, Wyoming, another abjectly awful offense. like this is way worse. Worse than Oregon State.
Yeah,
worse. Like this might be among the many terrible offenses we played this year. This might be the worst one. Like they are terrible. They are 129th in offensive success rate, 124th in EPA, meaning they are neither consistent or explosive. They don't do anything well. They are 120th in rush success rate, 129th in drop back success rate, the 128th overall in EPA offense. Sorry, 124th margin. Their defense is not good. They're 115th in defensive EPA. But honestly, as bad as the defense has been, this is like a stress test in the other way. Like if you give up points to Wyoming, you're very down bad. And WSU's defense is down bad. Like the numbers, WSU's 100th in defensive success rate, 103rd against the rush, 90th against dropback, and those things have plummeted the last few weeks.
And they're still better than Wyoming.
And they're still better than Wyoming. Now that WSU's offense has actually been playing well. WSU's offense played really well against Oregon State. They had 9 real possessions because 2 of their possessions where they got the ball with like 20 seconds left in the half.
Right.
They had 9 real possessions and scored 31 points. That's really good. That's really good against Oregon State's defense. I thought they could have put up more against New Mexico, in fairness, but 35 points on the road.
That should be enough to win you a game. Like that's enough to win you a game.
But the offense is crushing it. Like they're doing really well. Like, and so I expect them to move the ball against Wyoming's defense. And I expect Wyoming not to score that many points, especially because we're at home. But still, it's like we haven't played at home for a few weeks. How far has the defense fallen? Like, honestly though, like Jeff, I'm looking at all their advanced stats. It's like 110, 112 plus in every single thing you could think of.
It's very
like
bad.
everything. And teams run the ball a lot on them because they can't stop the run. Hint, hint, Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer. Run the fucking ball. Like, they're not going to stop you.
That would be great.
Yeah, run the ball. Give your defense a rest. They're not going to stop the run. They're not going to stop the pass either. They're going to give up big plays. Just score fucking, like, I want 5 points of drive from the offense on this one, dude. Or, like, just do it. Just because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen against the Wyoming. Wyoming offense is just terrible, but I don't know what our offense is like. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, how low can our defense go? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, trust them anymore, Jeff. Like, I'm just a broken person.
I mean, like, I think they're broken too. I mean, you kind of listen to some of the comments after the game, some of the ways they talked about what it was that happened during the game, and the way they talked about being, communication being bad or being out of position. And I don't know how much I believe all that stuff. Just in this, like, I don't think anybody's lying. I just think that, like, is this really going on, or are they just like grasping for answers? Right? Like, is this sort of stuff you say when things are going bad?
And that's also pretty damning in a 11th game on this.
Either way,
like,
it's pretty damning.
How are you still out of position in game 11? It's not like it's been most of the same guys playing. Like, we haven't had a ton of injuries on defense.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know how bad it can get. I do know that the stadium is going to be empty. They're literally giving away tickets.
Yeah,
giving them away.
As a season ticket holder, if you're a season ticket holder, even if you only have one, they give you 2 season tickets. And since I'm up in the club, I got 2 free club tickets.
Yep.
And still, like, I'm trying to give them away. And
yep.
I can't even find people.
I mean, there won't be any students.
And this is like, we've known the time of this game since the season started. This wasn't like, oh, we don't know what time it's going to be. This one was set. And now, if we're 10-1, probably a little bit different, like the chance to see an 11th win, all that, which we've never done in the regular season before, all that. But yeah, I think the team started with there was less enthusiasm. I mean, there was no sellout against Texas Tech. And once that happened, once Texas Tech didn't sell out, that was like a harbinger of things to come.
For sure.
Because like, Hawaii was homecoming, and homecoming's usually a near sellout. I wasn't near sellout. Utah State was pretty sparse. I think just around 20. I mean, I said at the start of the year, like, what's going to be the attendance? We could probably go back and find it. Like, of that Wyoming game on November 30th. I think I said over under 15,000. And you said, oh, I don't know. I think we both go under at this point.
Oh, for sure.
I'm
sure the announced attendance will be something more than that, because they always do tickets sold instead of butts and seats. But yeah, it's going to be.
I've never seen them
be a
give
small number.
away tickets, like literally give away tickets before.
I mean, they've done specials where it's like buy one, get one, or something like that, like 50% off or whatever. But no, like, I think BECU had a thing too where they were just giving away some tickets as well. Like, it was just like they're just trying to make sure the place isn't completely empty. Which, I mean, honestly, I respect that. I'm going to be honest. I respect that.
Yeah,
just trying to get some people in there for the players. Man, it's senior day. I mean, if I lived anywhere nearby, I'd probably go. You invited me to go, but we got like a lot of people. Playing a game in Pullman that weekend is tough. I mean, we We got Friendsgiving here on Saturday. Like, we got a whole bunch of people coming over. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure there are lots of people who do things on the weekend that make it tough to get to a game. And then it's at 7:00, right? Like, that's the other thing.
It's at 3:30.
Oh, it's at 3:30. Oh, my bad. Sorry, my bad. So that's
a big thing. It's like, we've known all year this was a 3:30 game.
That's true.
I thought that would help.
Yeah. No. Nope.
I'm taking my 3-year-old. She's very excited because I took my now 7-year-old a few weeks ago, and so she's been every day. She's like, "Dad, we going to the Cougs game? Are we going to the Cougs game?" And like, well, I'll say, yeah, we're like, Dad, like, my wife will be like, Daddy's taking you to Pullman, and she's like, no, Daddy's taking me to the Cougs game. Like, okay, we won't argue with you. We won't argue with you.
No, nothing
Cougs
good comes
game.
from arguing. Yeah.
I think she actually like watches the sports more than my 7-year-old does in person, so I think she might actually enjoy it a little more, although it's going to be quite cold.
Yeah.
You have to buckle her up.
Shall we predict?
So let's score predict this thing. Score predict Wyoming at Wazoo, November 30th. So Jeff, what do you
high
got?
action. Woo! All right, so I got so the line on the game is 17. The prediction tracker, which I love because it aggregates all the predictive models, says we are roughly also 17 points better than Wyoming. So I'm trying not to be down bad pessimistic about it. I'm trying to take into account that we have just frankly played much better at home, all year, other than, maybe San Jose State, right? Like, everything else has been really good at home. I think they're going to be very excited to be at home.
Cooking against San Jose State.
Yeah. And I think that I don't think the crowd is going to – I think the crowd is more of a bummer for the other fans who actually go than it is for the players. I mean, I do think players can feed off a full house, but I don't think it's a thing where they look around and go, man, can you believe how empty this place is? Like that. I just don't think that's generally a thing, for players. I mean, they've played in plenty of stadiums this year that have been – 2/3 empty. I mean, you were at one of them. So it's like, I just am not sure that that's as big of a deal. So I think they're going to be okay. I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 touchdowns. I'm going to go 31-10. 31-10 Cougs.
All right. Little low scoring for WSU at home this year.
Late November.
I actually don't
Late November.
I'm still drinking the Kool-Aid at home a little bit, to be honest. This is not a fun trip for Wyoming. I mean, they have bad weather too, but it's going to be bad weather along the way. Mm-hmm. I'm going bigger blowout. I think Kyle Williams on senior day, 3 TDs. I think Mateer and Parker run all over them. I'm gonna go 45-14. Just want to have a good time, man.
Yeah.
Just want to have a good time.
I hope you're right, because that would be awesome.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I hope I'm right. I hope if you're right too, that'd be great as well.
Either one.
Just win.
Either one's fine.
I'm going to have a new appreciation for winning these games again now that we've lost 2 of them. Although the Oregon State one, that was the game that I had way more emotion watching that game because it's a team that we know.
Yes.
It's a rival. It's a Northwest
and
rival.
A team we've frankly dominated, right?
That's I know that's
for the last 15 years. So
It's
very
just at this point, it's we're like those assholes. We're like, you can't fucking lose to Oregon State. Are you kidding me? Yeah, seriously. But that's where we're at with Oregon State.
At some point here,
go ahead.
when we get after the season, we're gonna have to really debrief just how this going through a season where we were the favorites all year long in the position of, and I understand like it's a little bit of a false comparison, but in the position of Alabama, Georgia, whatever, playing a bunch of teams that you're supposed to beat. Like, we have literally never been in that position ever. And even in like 97, when it was clear that we were rolling and we were the better team than all these teams we were playing, it's still, you're playing other Pac-10 teams, right? Like, you are like, hey man,
UCLA.
yeah, you're playing UCLA, you're playing USC, you're playing Arizona State, ends up beating you that year. Yeah, I mean, so you're playing other, quality Pac-10 teams, even if you're the favorite. Here, it's just like, my God, multiple touchdown favorite week after week after week is just
every
like,
week, like it's
crazy.
They've been multiple touchdown favorite. Have they been multiple touchdown favorite every game since Fresno State?
I think so.
I think they were only like 8. I think there's 7 points against Fresno State. It might have started
double digits
high.
for sure on all of them.
Yeah, double digits. Yeah, but at least like I think it might have been like 11 or something against San Jose. So it's just been WC's probably never been double digit favored in this many games ever.
Yeah. And it's definitely skewed our perception of kind of how all this has gone too. It'd be one thing to be like, oh man, we had a shot at the CFP and then we blew it. But also like it's another thing to like, hey, we have a shot at the CFP and we have the easiest schedule in the country over the last, 6 games or whatever. And then to come out of that with a couple of losses, it's very disheartening. And putting the again, this will be a conversation to have after the season's over, while we're filling time heading to the bowl game. But man, like we're dealing with another late season swoon under Jake Dickert, and that is concerning as hell. Like it's happening again. And it's like I don't know why there would be a rational explanation for it. Like it's one of those things where I truly go, God, that's just got to be randomness. It's getting harder and harder to convince me that this is a manifestation of randomness and not some sort of underlying coaching issue.
Yeah, when you have like two seasons in a row where they beat good teams at the start of the season.
Yep.
And
then lose to bad teams at the end.
At the end of the year.
Multiple bad teams at the end.
They beat UW's still a bowl team out of the Big Ten, as they're down, of course, but they're probably even a little bit better than their record. Don't tell them that. Of course, they don't need to be told that. They've been saying that.
They don't need to be told that. They already know that.
Texas Tech, but turned out to be a pretty solid team.
Yep.
Yeah, Texas Tech turned out to be a pretty solid team, and and then now we're losing to New Mexico and Oregon State.
Yep.
But you know what? We almost lost to San Diego State. We almost lost to Fresno State. We almost lost to San Jose State. So we're just, I don't know. Please don't fuck around in this game. Like, just beat the tar out of them.
Yeah.
Let's go play.
Let's not find out.
Play a power conference team in a bowl game.
Yes.
Go play a power conference team in a bowl game, and then maybe they'll care again, and maybe they'll play again, play well again.
Yes.
Yes. Jeff, so we've done that. We talked about football. We're all sad now. What are you drinking to deal with that sadness?
Well, I would say let's get happy drinking beer, but I tried to find a beer that went with thematically, right? We always try to go thematically to find beers. So this beer is from Holy Mountain. Maybe you've heard of it. It's a brewery in Seattle. I think that maybe you've been there a couple of times. This one is Monument to Ruins Pale Ale. I think that the title of the beer speaks for itself. So I'm not going to elaborate further on that, but the beer, of course, as all beers from Holy Mountain are, is delicious. Very hazy, very tropical. Still a style of beer that I love, and when it's done really well, it's still a style of beer that I find very pleasing. So, yes, it's good. I like it. How about you, man?
I honestly get down with the hazy pales more than the hazy IPAs. I don't know, like the IPAs can get a little too sweet little too, I don't know, like, but the pale, hazy pale, still excellent. And funny enough, I'm also having hazy pale ale. I did not go with theme at all. I just got a beer that I knew that I thought was awesome, and I figured you would also think is awesome, because we both love Sean Kemp. And like
we do.
Sean Kemp, like I had a shrine to Sean Kemp in my 5th grade locker. 90s Sonics forever. So like just yeah. So this is it is fashion in collaboration with Sean Kemp and with, I believe, a charity called Community Gardens, which I don't know what it is. And it has, there's actually there's 2 different cans. The other one has like Kemp wearing like a guy wearing like a Kemp shirt, which kind of looks like Kemp. But this one is, you can see it's like Kemp facing the other way. You can see the back of his jersey. It's the early 90s style jersey.
The only
when Kemp
proper
was,
jersey,
youngest,
by the way.
The only proper jersey. It is a double dry hopped, and of course Kemp had double hops.
It is true.
Pale ale, Mosaic, Freestyle Motueka, and Freestyle Nelson. I don't even know what that means. They have
Sounds awesome.
Stumped me. I don't know what freestyle hops are. But yeah, it's really solid. It's very good. It's just a nice little drinker, little hazy pale ale, easy to drink, goes down, crushable, just like 5.5%. Not gonna get hammered. 5.2. So yeah, I saw this at Peaks and Pints today, and I was like, whoa, I'm gonna drink the Sean Kemp beer.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. The Rain Man. It's called Rain Man, by the way. It's called Rain Man. I didn't even say what it was called. Yeah.
If I could get this off the wall, like over on this wall over here, Sarah, for my birthday, I don't know, a couple of years ago, got me this pencil artist that does these pencil drawings. He takes a photo and turns them into pencil art. And it's a Sean Kemp dunk from the dunk contest, the free throw line dunk. And it's signed by both Kemp and the artist. I don't know if you've seen it. I can't remember if you've been over here since I put it up, but it kicks ass. And I would show it on the screen, but I can't get it off the wall right now.
Yeah, I have I'm just like notoriously hard to shop for Christmas, and so one year I just was like, I said to my wife, I'm like, give me a pair of Sean Kemp Reeboks. And she bought them for me, and she's like, these are like the ugliest shoes I've ever seen. And I got kind of mad at her. I was like, look, when I was growing up, we were poor. Yeah. I got off-brand shoes all the time.
Yes.
And all I wanted was these damn Sean Kemp shoes. And they're like the ones from like 95, 96. So it has like the green and garnet on it. Little hints of it. And so I was just like, she felt so bad because I was like, no, like these actually, I don't even need to wear them. They like mean so much to me to actually have a pair of these now, because I would have loved to have a pair in 1996, but I had like Turn Tech or whatever the fuck Big Five brand was,
right.
With the 4 stripes shoes or whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, like
where they try to hide them in such a way that it looked like 3 stripes, right?
Yeah.
Like there's actually 4 if you look real close, but just like a passing glance, it'll look like 3 stripes.
Shout out to anyone else who ever had Turn Tech shoes.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Right here.
But yeah,
we shop for shoes at Big Five for sure.
Jeff, oh yeah, the fucking day before basketball started. Oh crap! I gotta buy you shoes.
Yeah.
$25 budget. Like, let's go.
Yes.
Big Five will take care of us.
Yep. It's only got to last you for a few months, Craig.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you're going to grow out of them anyway.
Yeah. Which was probably true.
Yeah. But, yes, it was true. But Dad wasn't the one who had to get made fun of for wearing the fucking random-ass Big Five shoes. So, sorry,
Very
Dad.
true. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so we're trying to path through this basketball. We'll talk a little bit about basketball. The women's team got obliterated by Iowa after like a strong first quarter, but then that was rough. That was rough to watch. They were struggling to score. Just don't, but I don't, whatever. They have an easy game coming up. I still think they're going to be a problem in the West Coast Conference. Gonzaga's not looking that great, like as good as people thought. They have a real shot to win that league and go to the tournament. And I'm excited for that. So whatever, got obliterated by Iowa. A lot of teams, that's a tough place to play. Even now that Caitlin Clark's gone, they still have a rowdy fan base. But men's basketball, we won't talk too much because one, there's a game tonight, and so it's going to be so irrelevant. And
by the time you hear this,
we kind of
dear
need to see
listener,
where they're.
the game will be over.
Yeah. The big thing is what we'll be interested in watching their game against SMU is how are they going to handle this playing a top 100 team without Cedric Coward, and then we need to know how bad is Cedric Coward's injury, which he seems to have hurt his shoulder or something in practice, and he's out at least the 2 games at the Acrisure Holiday Invitational. Unfortunately, out against this SMU game, which is sure to be at least a quad 2 game, and then they have coming up Nevada and Boise State, back-to-back quad 1, almost guaranteed quad 1 games. The two of the 3 biggest games in the. I mean, you're looking There's three of their 4 biggest non-conference games all in a row, and their best player is hurt. Maybe second best player, depending on how impactful Cal Meese is on a given night. But obviously, Coward is an NBA level talent, and he does so many things offensively and defensively for this team. It just sucks, man. And they're already down like a backup guard in Wilson. It's just why this really looks like a team at full strength that can push for an NCAA bid, which is not what I thought they were before the season. But if you don't have Coward in there, I just don't see how that goes. But we'll see how they play against SMU tonight. Yeah,
I mean, I think we saw it anybody who stayed up late enough anyway, saw it against Fresno State. Fresno State's quite bad. That's a really bad team. And Fresno State took themselves out of the game in a lot of ways. They really couldn't hit a shot. We played solid defense as well, but it was pretty obvious as to why Fresno State's not really a very good team. Where the impact came was not in the final score necessarily. I mean, maybe the margin, but not the outcome was never in doubt. Where the impact was felt was just kind of the way that the game unfolded, the sorts of things that we were able to do on offense or that they were able to do on offense that would be changed if Coward is on the floor. And then beyond that, it just really first of all, there's no like-for-like substitute with a guy like that.
No.
So you take and you put Isaiah Watts into the starting lineup. Isaiah Watts is nothing like him at all, other than nominally
Coward's
being a guard.
He's a 6'7", 2'3" wing.
Right. Isaiah's a 6'3", shooting guard in a point guard's body, right? So, so what it does is it changes the calculus in terms of the way you defend. It changes the calculus in terms of how you attack. Coward can post up. He can score at all 3 levels, right? He can post up around the basket. He can hit the mid-range. He can shoot the 3, being, 6'6", 6'7", with these 7-foot enormous arms, right? Nobody else on the roster can do that. That's why he's such a good player. And so the question becomes, all right, so now you lose him, you lose what he brings to the table, but also you obviously can't replace somebody like that, but what does it do for the way that you strategically try to go about winning a game, offensively, defensively? It really kind of messed up the rotations really bad, trying to figure out who's going to play who's going to play with whom. How small they get, because we are a really big lineup with Calmise at 6'3", and then Coward at 6'6", and then Lawan Watts at 6'6", and then 6'10", 6'11". Like, that's a really tall lineup. That makes a huge difference defensively. And now all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, you go to Isaiah Watts, who's shorter and skinnier. Maybe you go to Case Wynot or whatever, but he's inexperienced, not as that. So really it just kind of made this whole mess. And so, we don't know how long he's going to be out. We do know that the team is much worse off without him. And maybe they adjust. Maybe they figure out ways to attack. I know it certainly seemed like Riley was kind of trying to figure out which buttons to push in that game. Maybe that's just sort of the extent of it, that once he figures out which buttons to push with the personnel he's got left, that they will look and play a lot better. But, you can't replace a guy like Coward. And particularly, like you said, heading into this stretch where you're going to be playing SMU, which has NCAA tournament aspirations. You're going to go to Nevada. You're going to go to Boise State. You're going to go to Washington. Like, those are all teams. Washington, I don't think, is going to sniff the bubble, but that's a tough game, and that's a rivalry game that you definitely want to win. So, to be losing him right now and not
has
really
a chance
knowing,
at being a quad one.
Yeah, it does. And so, you just kind of go, this is when it's not that they won't have more opportunities, because they will. They'll have, games against, obviously 2 games against Gonzaga, 2 games against St. Mary's, 2 games against San Francisco. The road game at San Francisco should be quad one. I mean, they'll have quad one opportunities, but if your best player's injured and you go through and you stumble during this stretch, like, it just really sucks, because you got this really good opportunity. Teams playing well. There's no reason to think they're not going to keep climbing into that conversation, and then to have it undermined by a, what appears to be sort of a freak injury is a super bummer. So hopefully we get him back sooner rather than later. Like on the broadcast, they were saying, like, well, he's out for at least this game. I'm like, I have a hard time believing, 20 hours or whatever it is from one game to the next. I have a hard time believing that's going to be the difference. I guess we'll find out. But, if this team can somehow figure out a way, we look at that stretch, like SMU, Nevada, Boise State, Washington. If you win 2 of those, you're doing all right. Like, if you let's say you win the games against the 2 worst teams, SMU, Washington, you lose to Nevada and Boise State. I don't think that's a huge blemish if the goal is still to try and get to the tournament. So I think that, if they can keep their head above water, that's great. But I think, the first game against Fresno State here showed that's a tall task. They're a really different team without Coward, and he brings so much to the table. And there's a reason why we call him the best player. I mean, he truly is. Maybe not the most important, or maybe tied with Calmise as far as most important goes, just because of the situation with him and the other point guards. But, he's definitely the most talented player, and he just changes. He really does. He changes the geometry of the floor on both offense and defense, and you just can't replicate that.
And he was a guy that could be playing at any number of Power 5 schools this year. But he's at Wazoo, and he's definitely been fun to watch. He's so fun to watch. That's why I hope he comes back soon. He's so smooth, effortless at times. Yeah, seriously. But yeah, so briefly, because we got a little more time than I thought we would. We are doing well, Jeff. I do want to touch on the volleyball team. They have their senior night upcoming on Friday, annoyingly at 1 p.m. I'm not going to be able to get in town because I'm not waking up my kid at my 3-year-old at 7 a.m. to get in the car.
Why 1 o'clock? Why do this?
So I do not get
Bowler Gym's not being used for anything else. Play the game later.
Yeah, like, why isn't this game at 6 or 7? Like, volleyball games very, very traditionally on Friday at 7 p.m. I don't even care. It doesn't matter for like broadcasting too. It's just streaming. It doesn't matter.
I don't know, man.
But yeah,
anyway.
So they play tonight against USF LMU. They have no shot at winning LMU has won, has the league clinched. Well, at least we can't catch them. But maybe beating LMU puts them on some sort of bubble for the NCAA tournament. I don't know. So they have them on senior night. They have USF. Oregon State was a real tough loss to take. That's what really eliminated them from having a shot at the league title.
Kind of a no-show.
Yeah, so
too, right?
real tough week against Oregon. Real tough weekend in Corvallis for Wazoo teams.
Yes.
But yeah, so I don't know. They have a chance to get a huge win against LMU. It'd be real cool if they did. And USF is just below them in the standings. So yeah, should be. Hopefully, some people will be in town earlier. Well, there's not going to be that many people in town for the football game anyway, so whatever. It's going to be
maybe that was the thought.
It's going to be
process.
lots of free tables, at the Coug this weekend. Lots of free tables at the Coug. Have no problem. Lines will be short. No problem getting my mug filled. I'll just enjoy that. The hotel prices are the cheapest I've ever seen for a football weekend. You can get a buy one get. I don't know if they still have a sale, but they had a buy one get one free sale at Coast Hilltop that the Hilltop for basically $300 for the whole weekend.
Jeez.
You could. I even saw like the Courtyard was down to like $300 a night, which is they're usually around $600 a night for football games.
Yeah.
I saw like the real America's Value Inn and Cougarland, and they were down around $100 a night. So seriously, if you have a chance to go, just like this is the cheapest Cougar football weekend you're ever going to have, and there's plenty of tickets available. So I don't know. It's kind of a bummer that it's probably going to be the least attended. Well, I will say I was at the Arizona game that was on, I think, November, like the Friday before Thanksgiving break a couple of years ago, and that was pretty sparse. It was foggy, but I think this is going to be much worse than that even. But we'll see. So with all that fun stuff that we've talked about, Jeff, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Enjoy your day off if you have it. If not, I'm sorry you have to deal with assholes in whatever profession you're in.
Yes.
You have to people shopping on Thanksgiving, and like, sorry if I'm one of them. Sometimes forget the flour or something, whatever. It's our fault that the store's open. But yeah, if you have the time off, enjoy it. Yell at your stupid in-laws. I'm only having friends over, so that's fun. But yeah, anyways, football, basketball, lots of stuff going on, and go fucking Cougs.
Yeah. Subscribe to the newsletter, right? And if you are a listener,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, if you're a listener, if you're an audio only podcast listener, remember we have video on YouTube now. You can find us on YouTube, Podcast versus Everyone. Find us on Blue Sky now. Newscoog.podcastversuseveryone.com and CraigPowers.podcastversuseveryone.com on Blue Sky. Right? Not much on Twitter anymore, but you can still find our podcast vs Everyone there as well. So anyway, go fucking Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And get vaccinated. Support a union.
Oh yeah.
Treat those workers well this weekend.